You can write it while you're listening.
Yeah.
I've been working on it since I got home from work, and I'm burned out. Like, I don't even want to think about it anymore.
I know. I felt like that last week so bad.
And I have no idea how long mine is either because I wrote it a while ago to get ahead of the game, and I go back and anything. So I have no idea how long it is. It's probably too short. I don't know though. Okay. I'm gonna give me a second to turn on my timer because I want to time it because I have no idea how long it is.
Okay.
And then I'll read it. I'll try to read it. Oh my gosh, sometimes I'm so dumb with my phone. Okay. All right. Is everyone ready?
Ready.
All right. More than 123,000 men, women, and children in the U.S. are currently at this minute in need. Oh, I started. I'm going to start over. I messed up already. All right. All right.
You did.
I don't know if I wrote it wrong or if I just said it wrong. Okay. More than 123,000 men, women, and children in the U.S. currently at this minute need a life-saving organ transplant. In the U.S., every 12 minutes, another name is added to the transplant list, which means at least 2 people will be added to the transplant list as I give this short speech. Someone close to you may be on the organ donor list or could potentially be on the organ donor list. 90% of Americans say they support organ donation, but nationally, only 48% of licensed drivers are registered to be organ donors. According to New York Times, most licensed drivers don't sign up to be organ donors due to fears about organ donation process. The need for organ donors is great, and there is no risk involved. One organ donor, I should say little risk probably, one organ donor may be able to save up to 8 lives. It is simple to register to become an organ donor, and the blessings of both the donors' lives and the lives of those they save cannot be measured. Some may be concerned that there is a risk in being a donor. For instance, they fear doctors may not do all they can to save their lives if they are in a life or death situation. If the doctors feel they may be able to save the lives of many more. According to Donate Life chairwoman Sarah Jones, doctors will never put one patient's life above the others and will always do everything possible to prevent death, organ donor or not. Some potential donors may opt out because they think there will be a cost to the family themselves, a cost to themselves or their family. This is not true. There is no cost to be an organ donor and tissue donor. All costs associated with the process are assumed by the recovery organizations. Donor families are not responsible for hospital expenses incurred by the patient before the donation and funeral expenses. Oh crud! You know what? I got to do some rewriting. That didn't make any sense. Okay, donating organs is not just saving the next person's life, but is also a gift to their family and all the people who are the recipient is important to. Most faiths, including the Christian traditions, Catholic, Lutheran, Protestant, and LDS, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, and Buddhism have taken a theological position that organ donation will not affect you in the afterlife or the next life. Many see organ donation as morally right and good, and they describe it as an act of charity and love toward others. The lives of the donor's loved ones are often blessed by this great gift. Cody Souders died of an accidental prescription drug overdose at the age of 18. His parents chose to donate his organs per his wishes. Cody's mother, Amy, said of the experience, "If there's a person that gets even another day with their child or their dad because of Cody's organ donation, it will be well worth it to us because we would do anything to get another day with him," she told CBS News' Marley Hall. There are many simple ways to become an organ donor. One easy way is to register as an organ donor through your local DMV. You can request that a heart be placed on your driver's license or state ID card. Another way to donate is to print out and carry a donor card. According to DMV.org, it is a legal document when signed and witnessed. Minister Miles Monroe once said, "The value of a life is not its duration, but in its donation." You are not important because of how long you live. You are important because of how effective you live. An average of 21 people died yesterday because they needed an organ donation. Are you a registered organ donor? The end. Oh my gosh, that was super short and awful. Sorry.
Well, you kind of rushed a little bit too.
Yeah.
Slow
But
down.
that wasn't even 4 minutes.
Uh-oh. Guess I'm doing some more writing.
What was it? Was it 130 words a minute?
Yeah.
Okay.
130. I'm gonna write that down. See how many more I need to. I thought I checked that, but maybe I got. Even if I spoke really slowly, I could probably only add a minute though. And it's supposed to be 7, right?
Yeah, 7
That's
minutes.
off. All right, and I also need to learn how to say the word organ. Organ donor.
Origin.
Say it. All right. You know what? Did it even make sense? Part that
Yeah.
never.
Like I knew what you were telling us and what you wanted us to. In a sense, it kind of felt like you were just saying, this is the situation with the organ donor. And at the end you said, are you an organ donor? But what if you like try to impress more in our minds that that's what we need to do? Like the first step after I listen to your speech is I'm going to call the place and say, hey, I want to be an organ donor.
So maybe thinking of more personal, not personal, but examples of people who may have saved lives, or something more persuasive, something that would push them to you to feel like you really had more of a urgency to do that.
You gotta
Mhm.
show a need. That was one of the things.
Okay. Well, at the beginning I told the need, but maybe I need to go back and reiterate it again.
I got the need, but yeah, it could be
Like
especially
appeal to people's emotions.
Uh-huh.
more time too. That'd be
Maybe
good too.
I made an example of the one person that saved some lives. Maybe I need to make an example of someone who died, who could have had an
I feel
organ
like-
donation or something like that.
Yeah, and I feel like Laura Lee, just because you were reading it so fast, it almost seemed like it was all over the place. But as I'm going back and thinking about what you were saying, I do see where there was an outline to it.
Mhm.
So I think that a lot of that will be taken care of
Okay.
once you read it a little bit slower and put a little more emphasis on certain parts of it.
Like I said, I tried to get ahead of the game. I wrote this like 2 weeks ago, and I haven't read it since, so I
Yeah.
forgot. So much for getting ahead. Anyway, okay. So
You answered a lot of my questions about it. I've been kind of on the fence about being an organ
Really?
donor too most of my life.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
Oh, well, good.
I'm just curious, are all of you organ donors?
You know, that's ironic because, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm not, but
You're not.
I will be now.
Well, it's ironic because I'm doing a persuasive speech about it, but I don't think I am because I just haven't gotten around to going and changing it.
Yeah.
I have no objection to it at all. But I haven't gone and changed it on my driver's license or registered, or the things that I just found out that I told you it was easy to do.
Yeah. Well, I always feel like, well, the next time I renew my license, I'll take care of it. But it's like 10 years now. So,
Oh, yeah, I know. Mine's not expired till like 2035.
right.
Okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
maybe it's 2025, which is coming sooner than that, but that's still not very soon.
Yeah.
I'm
Anyway.
one.
What? Good.
I'm an organ donor, yeah.
Good for you.
Good job.
Yeah, I also think it's kind of an old-fashioned, and this would be something if we're only talking to LDS people, but I think it's an outdated stigma that you shouldn't do that, because somewhere in the scriptures it says that we shouldn't like mutilate or maim our bodies on purpose, and I think people translated that to mean you can't take out your organs or something like that, but that's
And
not
cremation.
what.
They have the same kind of thoughts about cremation too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so I don't really think that's one of those things that we've come to think that Mormons don't believe in, like drinking caffeine. You know what I mean? That it's not really a commandment, but we kind of traditionally don't do it, you know, but hopefully that'll change with the organ donation, because really it's pretty cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think it's really crazy that you chose that because my neighbor that lives above me, he just got a lung transplant like
Oh, wow.
last winter.
Wow.
You know, somebody decided to do it and saved his life because he was not well.
Wow.
And one of my friend's little sisters has the same disease that he has, and she's going to need one probably in the next 10 years.
Oh my goodness.
So it's crazy that you that you picked that.
That's funny. Woo!
Somebody,
But like, if you had
somebody
seen how
donate.
sick he was and how good he is now, it's crazy the difference.
That's amazing.
Was it a living donor that donated a lung?
Oh no, it was both lungs. It was somebody.
Okay. Okay,
Wow.
you said somebody had decided to do that for him, and I thought, wow.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, they made the decision to be an organ donor.
At some point.
Okay. Okay.
And the thing with lungs is that it has to be the right blood type. It has to be the right size.
Right.
You have.
Yeah,
to
I think that's why the need is
It's
the need
crazy.
is so high, because even if you are an organ donor, the circumstances have to be exactly like their
Yeah.
regulation, or else
Yeah.
they can't use them.
That's
So I
Can
love
you
to
imagine
donate.
if you
That's
can you imagine
awesome.
if you donate an organ and then they reject it, and so your organ is like thrown away? Like, sorry, it won't. It just
That would be super sad. It would seem like a waste, but at the same time, at least you made that effort, I guess. You know, at least
yeah.
at least the gift was given.
Yeah, I just can't imagine the receiving end.
So sad.
You know,
Oh
you
yeah,
wait,
yeah. That
wait,
would be
and wait and
awful.
wait. Yeah.
I think the scariest thing is there's a 50% chance that you'll reject it. So they take
Yeah.
out the lungs that are yours, even though they're not good.
Oh man.
And you
Well, I'm
have
not
a
going to put that in my speech. I'm not going
these
to
aren't
say.
going to work.
Yeah, don't do that.
I'll ignore that part for the purposes of being persuasive.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's every organ or if I
but for the lungs. Oh man.
because I follow a couple people that have the same sickness and they have blogs and stuff on Facebook.
Well, and other kinds of organs like your eyes, I don't think you have to be the same blood type. That kind of organs, I think they can put in anybody. But
Yeah, they do the cornea transplant, I think. And I've heard of people doing that. I don't know about the whole eye though.
I'm not sure either. That might be what I meant. I'm not sure what I meant.
Well,
No, I'm
I like
seriously, I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. I just know something about the eyes.
I liked that you picked that topic, because that's something that I would want to persuade people to do too, I think. Because, like, I just see nothing wrong with it at all. If anything, you're going to be helping someone, and
Yeah.
it won't be hurting you. So,
Yeah.
Right. You don't need them anymore. Why waste them?
I think it's funny too. I just changed mine to become an organ donor the last time I got married and I had to change my name and everything, so I did that. But I didn't do it before because I was scared that they wouldn't try to save me because they would want my organ.
Wow.
That's
So funny that
a
just-
big deal. Yeah.
That's not even anything I had ever thought of before until I read that some people had that concern. I would have never. Interesting.
But then again, if you think about it, they're not checking your ID when you come into the ER. They're like, let's save this person, and they worry about that later.
Also,
you're
it's
probably
kind of funny, like, why would they let you die just to save some other life? Wouldn't they want to save as many lives as they can? And, like, I don't know.
Well, she was saying that you can save up to 8 lives. So
Yeah, you can save 3 lives just
I
from
see.
donating blood.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So hopefully the doctors won't be like some of these crazy people on TV, that we can save 8 people.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I have that much good left in me. I'm getting so blind, and I don't know. We'll see. All right. I'm going to try to stand up because I have mine all like taped to a board up here.
Oh, is that with the flag? Why do we have the flag? Because you
Yeah.
usually have another picture there, don't you?
Yeah.
Nice.
We're going to be patriotic today.
Awesome.
Okay, let's see. All right. And I don't have it memorized. I'm sorry. I have bits of it, so I'm trying to make eye contact every now and again, but I would like to have one of those podiums like they have for general conference.
Oh, that'd be
Where
cool.
you can just look like you're just chilling and looking at everybody.
With the
So just
yeah.
pretend there's an audience that I'm looking at as I turn my head.
You know what I was thinking the other day? I know you're about to start, but that made me think about something. When you're recording it, and if you don't have it memorized, what if you were able to like minimize it and put it over in the corner of your screen and just read it? I wonder if that would look like I was looking at the camera.
Yeah, it doesn't. I've tried.
Oh, okay.
Your eyes are still jumping around the screen, and like you can tell when you're not. I don't know. I've tried it.
Okay.
I've tried strategically placing it exactly near the camera, so and then scrolling so that the line I'm reading is right under the camera, and it still looks funky.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Okay, here we go. I love to make cakes, but my plan to open a bakery was slowed when stories began cropping up in the news of other establishments who were being compelled to violate their conscience or pay a fine if they did not supply cakes for same-sex weddings. In 2012, Jack Phillips, owner of Masterpiece Cake Shop in Colorado, turned down a request to make a wedding cake for a same-sex couple on the grounds that it went against his religious beliefs. He was taken to court and told that he had illegally discriminated against the couple. And he was told that he could not deny a same-sex couple that which he offers willingly to other heterosexual couples. In consequence of that ruling, Mr. Phillips has had to stop making wedding cakes altogether, which will ultimately affect his profits. Jack Phillips' story is not a unique one. The Kleins of Sweet Cakes in Oregon declined making a wedding cake for a lesbian couple's wedding and were fined $135,000 in damages. Why are these cases important to us? We are finding that our religious liberty is being peeled away one layer at a time. In a report presented in September of 2016, the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights, chaired by Martin R. Castro, found that, quote, civil rights protections ensuring non-discrimination as embodied in the Constitution, laws, and policies are of preeminent importance in American jurisprudence. In other words, anti-discrimination trumps religious liberty. It has been established by experts and scholars that true religious liberty and religious freedom should be about allowing people, Americans, to freely practice their faith, and is not and should never be about preventing others from living their lives freely and equally. But what happens when allowing other people to freely live their lives infringes on someone else's religious liberty? What happens when a business is compelled to serve those they do not and cannot support according to their conscience, as in the cases I've already presented above? The Klein's lawyer, Adam Gustafson, said, the law cannot compel an architect to design a church. It cannot compel a rabbi to marry a Christian and a Jew. To do otherwise would offend the conscience and the Constitution. End quote. Why should their right to be a gay or lesbian couple trump another person's right to be a Christian? Why is a baker not making a cake for a same-sex wedding discrimination against the couple, but the baker being forced to make the cake for them is not discrimination against him or her? After all, they will still be a couple. They can go somewhere else to get the cake, but if the baker is forced to make the cake and doesn't, he or she could lose their business, their livelihood, and possibly everything that they have. Mr. Mullins, a plaintiff in the Masterpiece Cake Shop case, said, we were mortified and just felt degraded, and it was all the worse to have Charlie's mom sitting there with us. You don't want your mom to see something like that happen to you. So their feelings were hurt. But Mr. Phillips' business, and by extension his ability to provide for his family, could be damaged or destroyed. Which is the bigger violation? The phrases religious liberty and religious freedom will stand for nothing except hypocrisy as long as they remain code words for discrimination, intolerance, racism, sexism, homophobia, Islamophobia, Christian supremacy, or any form of intolerance, Castro wrote. This is such an explosive argument for the opposition. When we disagree on moral issues based on our beliefs, we are labeled haters, homophobic, intolerant, or any of the many names he mentioned above. The fact is, we do not hate anyone. We want to live together in peace. We just ask for the same privilege to live according to our beliefs as they request. But when they cry foul each time we don't join in their celebration, it makes it hard to coexist in peace. If we believe in God, worship Him, and live our lives according to His commandments and the principles we learn in our faith, how is that Christian supremacy any more than those who are LGBTQ are supremacists in their own right for believing their rights trump ours? It works both ways. We live in a diverse society. We are called upon to love and respect those who believe differently than we do. This is required of us as Christians, but we must also stand up for what is right and what we believe in. We are being wrapped in flaxen cords and lulled into believing that these clever disguises of moral relativism are what we should be fighting for. How do we know if we are being lulled away? In a Pew report from January of 2017, they found that religious affiliation and practice has decreased in the US by 7% since 2008. At the same time, another study shows that attacks on religious liberty have increased by 133% in just the last 5 years. A research study from 2013 found that many churches are seeing decreases in their congregations as more and more people are being required to work on Sundays and as their secular activities draw them away from worship services. It seems formal religious worship is falling while the focus on political correctness and anti-discrimination are on the rise. Surely there is a correlation. As our population slides in their church attendance, their religious views become more dim and the flaxen cords less visible. We are then vulnerable in a world intent on establishing their freedom to choose their civil liberties without negative consequences to themselves, yet disregarding the negative consequences to others. We need to stand up and be vocal in our desire and dedication to preserve our religious liberty. We no longer have the luxury of sitting idly by in an attitude of tolerance. We must support those who fight for their freedom to practice their religion and live according to their beliefs. When the day comes that we forego the fight to preserve the peace, we are in essence agreeing that our religious freedom, our religious liberty, is no longer a priority, and we can wave it goodbye. The end.
How long is that? Did anyone time it?
That was 6 minutes and 52 seconds.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, good.
I like your term. I like your use of the word flaxen cord. That's nice. And even if you have it completely memorized, I felt like it was enough that you didn't stammer and hesitate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you were forceful but not to the point of annoying. You know.
So at the first, I was kind of confused what you were talking about, like what you were gonna persuade us to, or then halfway through, I'm like, oh, she's a religious liberty and all this stuff, and because I was like, no, I guess it makes sense.
No, it was kind of confusing in the beginning. I didn't know which direction she was going to go.
Okay, so maybe make more of a point in the beginning where what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
Well, once you started saying what it was about, I understood that you were using that just an example just for an example of an instance that some people believe that is happening.
Yeah.
An example, but not that as being the sole purpose of your persuasion, right?
Yeah. Well, in one of my other classes, as we have been watching in an advocacy class, and we've been learning about being an advocate for families and an advocate for, children and marriage and things like that. One of the lessons that we had was talking about the story of us, the story of me, the story of us, and then I can't remember what the last one is. Oh, like what to do about it. So I was trying to start off with a more personal, why it's important to me, and then talk about why it's important to everybody, and then to end with what we can do about it. But
Okay.
like I posted this on Facebook so that I could send a link to the presentation center, and my sister messaged me back and she's like, well, I would make the cake. I don't think it's Christ-like to not make the cake. And I thought, I really struggle with that, because I feel like I would be more apt to not make a cake for a bridezilla than I would, it wouldn't bother me. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's not so much the cake, and maybe that's my problem with the speech, because it's not really about the cake. It's about the fact that even though, I don't have a problem, these people that were taken to court, they didn't have a problem serving these couples. There was a florist that served this gay couple for years and really had a good relationship with one of them. But as soon as she declined doing their wedding, they took her to court. They sued her personally. They sued her business. And I'm just thinking, why? Because they could go anywhere. But it's all about their feelings. It's not about principle. It's about, getting their own way. And so it's hard to, I'm using the cake as sort of a, just like one point to show that this is happening to people's religious liberty, their religious freedom, that we have to bow down to anybody else who has a more politically correct viewpoint and forego what we believe in as a religion. So I don't know.
I see what it is, and yeah, it's like hard. I get what you're saying.
I feel like because of the audience, you might be able to persuade with that story, but
yeah, if you got some liberalist, feminist, someone like that, they probably would be like, no, you're wrong, whatever. But
because of your audience is primarily LDS. But I'm not saying that all LDS people believe that way either. So
yeah, I would disagree, because there's a website put out by the church about gay members, and they don't think you should be like that. So,
but the point is not the cake, like you were saying, which I understand, but it took a little while for me to reconcile that in my mind, because I do believe, I agree with your point, but I don't agree with, and I do agree that nobody should sue someone over that, but I also can see both sides of the coin, because I have no idea what it would be to be persecuted like that. Anyway, so I don't know if the story matters as much as just tying it in to know what it is, where the point,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really hard one, because I can understand somebody not wanting to make the cake, but I can also understand it's just a cake. Like, I don't care what other people do with their life. Who am I to judge them?
Yeah. But I understand
why I have to make a cake for them if I don't want to.
Yeah.
So it's really hard.
That's true too. I mean, there are a lot of businesses out there that are being forced to do something that just, like why would an architect be forced to build somebody a church if he didn't want to build a church? So, it just.
Well, like I was saying, it's not about the cake. So, I mean, we could argue about that, because then I could say, well, if you're not LDS and you don't believe that there's anything wrong with being gay, then it's totally different than being an architect, because you are taking away their liberty. So it really depends on your audience.
I think it's a really good example, though, and your speech isn't about the cake.
Mm-hmm.
So just to clarify, your speech was about keeping religious liberty, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I wrote down. That's what I got as soon as you started after the story, and I wrote down that's what I got out of it too.
So I think Gordon B. Hinckley talked a lot about religious liberty, didn't he? I wonder
almost
if you could,
every prophet and apostle has.
yeah, pretty popular.
Ellen H. Oaks. a lot.
I wonder if you should add a quote in there by one of them.
Except that we're not supposed to.
Okay,
Oh.
yeah, okay.
You know, we're supposed to
Oh.
keep, like, I was really pushing it with the flaxen cord thing.
Oh, really?
Well-
I liked that visualization. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I didn't. Was that
With the
coming?
Yeah, you're supposed to, when you're trying to do a persuasive speech, you're supposed to stay away from the religious aspect of it, which is difficult because it's a speech on religious liberty. So-
Yeah, that's completely of what your speech is about. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But not completely, because it's also rights. Civil rights, really.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things our Constitution promises us is the freedom of religion. So,
I think it really depends on what your quote is. You know, if it's really LDS oriented as opposed to just being a general statement.
true.
Does that make sense?
Well,
Yeah,
here's
we
the
don't
thing.
have to say
Then
the
it would be
prophet,
like
Gordon
that.
B. Hinckley.
Yeah, that's true.
Here's the thing with my speech. I could not think of a topic, and I sent in the one that I wanted to do, and I'm like, I know this is kind of preaching to the choir, but I'm gonna kind of take it from a different point of view, but still use these religious resources. Is this okay? And she's like, that's completely fine. So mine totally is, like, if I gave mine to a non-LDS group, they would have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
interesting. Okay.
So I'm wondering if, because your group is going to be these LDS members, that it would be okay to add something like that in there. And like the instructor was okay with what I was doing, so.
Okay. Yeah, I was just, because I've been doing speeches in other classes and learning about advocacy, and I'm kind of combining, and sometimes I forget what I learned in what class, so.
It's also not official for another week and a half, so you can post it and ask
See what other people
her what
have.
she thinks too.
Okay,
And if she doesn't like it, then you can take it out.
right.
I really
know,
feel like
make
if
it
you tie
really-
in the religious liberty, if you make it really clear that it's about that and not about the cake and not about being LDS or another religion, then it's a really good speech.
Okay.
Yeah, we kind of got hung up on the story, but I
Yeah.
think a good example is just
Yeah.
kind of a gray area.
Yeah.
It is.
Me too.
That's what your whole speech is about.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to, I mean, there's so many things that we're all going to agree on because we're all LDS, but this was something that I knew there's lots of people, including myself, that are either on the fence on or totally disagree with, that makes the freaking cake.
Yeah. Which is what I was reading, one of the things I read is you don't want to try to do something too controversial because then it is hard to persuade. But
Yeah.
but that was
But she
a
said
more
don't go the
dramatic-
easy route either.
That's true. And it was a more dramatic example than some of the other examples would be.
Yeah.
What I find interesting is Laura Lee's speech and my speech is to convince you to do something, and then I kind of found your more speech, like your speech was to convince us to, like, hey, this is what we have to stand for, so this is what we're doing. But yours was also telling us to believe this. So I think there's two
I didn't even think of that.
types of persuasion speech, and you just gave a different type from Laura Lee. So some of us might still be on that first type, like, what are you trying to say? But
So should I end it with something more specific to do than to just stand up and, be
Then I think
vocal
it might-
about it? I just feel like
what
so
can
many
I do?
people are afraid to be politically incorrect, and we have this spirit of tolerance because we're supposed to be tolerant, but we can't sit there, and I've read so many talks on this by general authorities over the last couple weeks. We cannot sit around and just expect that things are going to get better if we're just nice about it. Let's just be nice. And we have to stand up and we have to advocate and we have to say hard things that might hurt people's feelings. But specifically something to do, I'm not sure what I could say to specifically do at the end of my speech, other than we need to be more vocal and stand up and talk about it.
Is there like a website you
as
can?
U.S. citizen. What can I do to help keep my religious liberty?
You could just say something like,
Me that that's what I should believe.
there are
I
actually.
believe it now. What am I going to do?
Sorry.
Sorry, no, go.
No, that's okay. My computer's lagging, and so I didn't realize you were talking. There are some actual talks and things like that that do tell you what to do, not super specifically, but they're saying ways you can, like the websites that Sarah was talking about when it talks about, gosh, I'm going to get all convoluted here, but I remember the ends of some either talks or websites or something I read where it does say the way that what you can do is to stay involved in your community's politics, stay aware of what's going on, stay on top of that kind of thing. And,
Yeah.
And so those are specific things. They might not be a specific thing, but they are specific things.
Just keeping aware of what's going on rather than
being informed.
Yeah, just being informed, both ways. Just know what's going on, know the changes that are happening in your community, know who's in charge, who your governor is and your mayor and your city council, know all those kind of things.
Right.
So sometimes laws get passed in our communities and we didn't even realize there was a vote. You know what I mean? The next thing we know, we turn around and, oh wait, what do we have now? What? I don't know. That's happened.
Yeah, I was driving to work today and there's a bunch of signs suddenly that say vote no, vote no, vote no. I'm like, why? I actually kind of knew, but I'm like, well, most people probably have no clue.
Yeah.
It's for the town budget and they want to spend $5 million making a library that no one's ever going to use.
Oh, wow.
No one goes to the library anymore and they want to spend $5 million making the library bigger.
Oh, wow. That's sad.
Okay, I have play practice at 8, so.
Oh, shoot.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's okay. I just don't want to be late. So, like I said, I was really afraid that she was going to decline my topic and say that's too much, but she sounded like she's like, oh, that's a great idea. Just go ahead and do it. And like I said, it's preaching to the choir, but at the same time, it's trying to get you to do something to help what the choir should be doing, if you know what I'm saying. And I don't have it memorized. I'll try to look up as much as I can and try to use my visual aids well.
Awesome.
Okay, so if someone could time this too.
Okay, I've got it.
Okay. This is your family line, starting with you and linking all the way back to Adam and Eve. Oh, isn't that marvelous? So pretty. All linked all together. Oh, wait. But your 8th great-grandfather wasn't killed in the temple, so let's just take that part out. Oh, also, your 3rd cousin. Oh no, there's some more too. Oh, wait. There we go. Oh, not so pretty now. And that was just your direct line. But what about your great-great-grandfather's sister's children's aunt or something? Luckily, you have the ability to make this simple paper chain into this metal chain. And that's through temple work. The benefits of doing family temple work are out of this world. You have the duty, you have the commandment to do your family work. In Doctrine and Covenants, section 128, verse 15, Prophet Joseph Smith quotes Apostle Paul. They, meaning the dead, they without us cannot be made perfect, neither can we without our dead be made perfect. If we are to follow the commandment given by Jesus Christ in 3 Nephi, therefore I would that you should be perfect even as I, or your Father who is in heaven, is perfect. Then one step towards perfection is family history work. But what is the meaning of that verse in Doctrine and Covenants? It is almost impossible to remember all of the covenants and the blessings given in the temple by only going once for ourselves. That is why church leaders urge us to go so often to remember the path that leads to perfection, and also to help those that have passed on. Why wouldn't we want to help our 8th great grandmother to her eternal exaltation while also helping ourselves to the eternal blessings? What are you going to benefit from doing this work? Oh, imagine all of the blessings available. President Howard W. Hunter stated, "There are some members who engage in temple work but fail to do their family history research on their own family lines. Although they perform a divine service in assisting others, they lose a blessing by not seeking their own kindred dead as divinely directed by Latter-day Prophets. I have learned that those who engage in family history research and then perform the temple ordinance work for those whose names they have found will know the additional joy of receiving both halves of the blessing." What President Hunter means is that when we complete our family's temple work, the bond between us will help us understand the ordinances, and make the whole temple experience better. We will be giving our dead the best gift you could ask for. Let me tell you of an experience I had. I was at the Payson, Utah temple, and I just finished some family names. I was walking towards the desk to get my names when I overheard a temple worker talking to a temple patron who looked like he was from India. The temple worker said, "You know, you are being a savior to these names. They have been waiting for a long time for someone like you to find their records. You are serving your Heavenly Father and your family in the best way possible." That changed my life. I looked down at the names I had and I began to cry. These little white cards are my family. We have the ability to become saviors to our family. Just like Elijah promised Joseph Smith in the Kirtland Temple, he shall turn the hearts of their fathers to their children, and the hearts of their children to their fathers.
Oh.
If I am to help the mission of Elijah and turn your hearts towards your family members, let me tell you this. Did you know that if someone dies without proper baptism, whether or not their work was good or evil, they will enter into the spirit prison? This is true. John 3:5, "Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of God." But God is a just God, and that is why we perform baptisms for the dead. But how awful is it to think that our family members who have died without baptism are bound in spirit prison because we have not finished their work? If they accept the baptism, when we act proxy for them while we do baptisms for the dead, it is the beginning of their spiritual progress. We have the ability to help them, but we also know that they can help us. After all, why wouldn't a family member want to help you out after you have freed them from a prison? Now let's go back to the chain. Again, in Doctrine and Covenants 128, Joseph Smith explains that baptisms for the dead are what links us together. He uses the phrase welding link to explain this bond. A welded link is extremely hard to break and impossible to tear apart. We understand that civil marriage ends at death, but marriages or sealings performed in the temple will last through all eternity. This is the best part of doing temple work. We have the ability to weld our families together forever. Our simple paper chain will be turned into a strong metal chain. When we sing families can be together forever, we often just think of our immediate family. Our mom, our dad, our siblings, grandparents. But if you go back in your line, well, all of our ancestors can be with us. It is such a sacred spiritual experience to go to the family with family cards to seal a whole family together. A temple worker one time told me, "Is heaven worth it if your whole family is not there?" Even Jeffrey R. Holland has said, "I cannot imagine the paradisical heaven we talk about without my wife. It would not be a heaven for me." Now, I've heard enough people say, "Oh, my brother so-and-so have done all my temple work and there's none left for me to do, so I'll just go to the temple and do their names that they give me." That's not true. Like I said, the chain was just your direct line. But somewhere in the spirit world, someone's wife's brother who hasn't been sealed to his parents yet, which means her family is not together yet. Your family work is not done. Check the lines again and make sure you have all the parents and siblings in there. There are spirits waiting for you to find their names. So this is what you're going to do. First, you're going to make sure you have a family search account. From there, you can look at your family family lines and try to find names for the temple. You can also add names to make the tree more accurate. Then you are going to download the app, Take a Name. This app will link to your family search account and go through all the names that somehow connect to you, even your 8th cousin 3 times removed. This app will search your tree for you and send you names available to take to the temple. This app will work 10 times better if you make sure your family tree is accurate. It takes a few hours to find some names, so be patient. But once you have names, reserve them. It is so exciting to find a name, and I'm sure they're excited on the other side as well. Then take the names to the temple. If there's any reason why you cannot go to the temple, give the names to family members that can, or friends. You can also send the names to the temple for temple patrons who do not bring their own family names to do, but this can take longer to complete. As we do the work in the temple for those who have gone beyond, we are reminded of the inspired counsel of President Joseph F. Smith, who declared, "Through our efforts in their behalf, their chains of bondage will fall from them, and the darkness surrounding them will clear away. The light may shine upon them, and they shall hear in the spirit world of the work that has been done for them by their children here, and they will rejoice. Turn your hearts towards your fathers." Joseph Smith said, "The greatest responsibility in this world that God has laid upon us is to seek after our dead." As you begin to research your family, you'll be blessed, and your family will be blessed, and your passed on members will be blessed. We have enough work to do, so we better get started.
That was 8 minutes and 25 seconds.
Okay, I knew there was some that I thought it was going to be longer than usual.
That was really good. I loved that.
Oh, good.
I loved your little kind of a pun at the beginning about the work being out of this world.
Yeah, that was cute.
I thought that was really effective. And I really liked your
I got
visual
that.
aid.
I got that thing when I was working at the temple. I overheard workers talking, and they were like, "Someone asked me if I get paid to work at the temple," and I said, "You know what? The pay's not good, but the benefits are out of this world." And I'm like, "That is awesome." So I had to. I'm glad I got to use it somewhere.
I also like the way you ended with all of your, like, the steps, the things that people can do. That was really effective.
Okay.
And you said, "You're going to do this. This is what you're going to do."
Yeah, yeah,
Not like, "This is how you can help," but you said, "You're going to do this."
yeah.
Forceful. It was good.
I liked it. I can't think of anything that I would change about it except for the time. So maybe just
Everything was good too. Like I don't even know what you could
yeah,
take out.
yeah.
Same as
Unless
the
you
last
just limit
time.
some of your stories or some of your, just
Yeah,
one or two examples.
I think I could find places to cut out or shorten or somehow.
It's hard to think of that stuff when you're listening because you're just listening. And then you're like, taking it in. So I don't know. Can't think of something that would have, all was beneficial.
Yeah, and I think that the structure of it was really good. The flow of it was really good. You're always smiling. So you just when I listen to you give a speech, I just want to go and do whatever you tell me to do.
Good, because that's the purpose of this. So
Yeah, that's a very good compliment. It was good the way that you started with talking about your family can be sealed and stuff like that, but then you built on it to your more specific point. Your more specific point was that you wanted to do your own family work and not just do family work, but to make sure your family is united. So that was kind of cool.
I think you're right. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
With the paper chain and everything, I kind of wanted to impress in your mind, hey, there is a problem. Well, not a problem if you don't do it, but this is kind of a serious thing, and the blessings are 10 times so amazing if you will do it.
Mm-hmm.
So
somebody, I think it was Elder Bednar, when he was here visiting with us and we had a multi-ward meeting with him, he promised that if we would do, especially the youth, that was when they were doing that big push to get the youth involved in indexing and finding family names and stuff, that if we would do our family history work, we would not have any additional problems in our families.
Wow.
I thought that was like
that
powerful.
sounds familiar. I need to look that up.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was like a regional, like he was blessing us with that, or if that was church-wide, but that was powerful.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's
yeah. Like, why wouldn't you do your family history work then? Okay, I don't need any more problems in my life.
So did you think that even though it was like you already understood that, do you think I took it in a direction that it was still persuasive?
I do. Personally, for me, I've been really bad since I started school. I graduate in July, but you know, since I started school, I have had like no time to do anything else in my life. And I've been really bad about going to the temple. I haven't done any family history work. And after listening to you talk and give your speech, I'm thinking I need, especially the part where you were talking about my loved ones, even the, you know, the good ones are still in there, good and bad are mixed together in spirit prison. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's like my mother-in-law and all these people that didn't join the church in this life, all of my husband's Catholic Italian family. And so, yeah, I mean, it was really powerful.
Yeah, that last quote that I said, where the darkness will come off them and their chains of bondage will fall, I found that today. And I was like, that is a super motivating thing to do, because it's like, you don't want your family members suffering right now, when it's especially when it's like kind of our fault if it is our fault if we don't do them, you know? So
Yeah.
And the other thing that I thought was powerful was, because I know some people who are super into genealogy and they trace their line back to Adam. But like you were saying, that's one line. That's like a direct line. That's not all the branches and twigs and, you know, all of that go off of that direct line. So there's always going to be family work to do.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really important point to make, especially for people who are kind of hobbyists. It's more than just a hobby trying to get your name back to Adam, you know. I mean, that might be a fun challenge, but there's more to it than just doing that. So
yeah, that's not the point. That's beside the point.
Right. Yeah. So I thought you touched on a lot of important points there that I think anybody, member of the church or not, is going to feel motivated to get their butt moving.
One thing I found out today was, you know, how Prophet Elijah appeared to Joseph Smith and gave them back the sealing power for the temples. And the scripture, their children's hearts will be turned to their fathers and stuff, is that blessing like went through all of us. So that's why you see non-members interested in their family work, because that's in us, that we were interested in where we come from and like what our ancestors have done. Like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, that's not an LDS scripture.
That's cool. That's cool.
I liked, and it didn't even have anything really to do with genealogy either, is that, well, it's personally for me, because my husband and I got married before he was baptized. We were sharing a house, so he couldn't get baptized first, even though we weren't doing anything. And so we never got sealed in the temple, and we're actually doing the temple classes now so that we can do that. So when you said, you know, marriages are, you know, until death do you part, I was like, yep. No, it made me think of that, like, we're working on it. But also just taking those temple classes when they talk about going through the temple for yourself, they talk about also going back and doing it for other people too. It's not,
Right.
you don't just do it once. You keep going.
Right.
Yeah. That's exciting. I'm glad you're taking those classes and getting ready.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
exciting. That's so cool.
Do you have a date planned?
No, he's hardly ever home. He's only home 2 weeks out of every month.
Oh,
And
man.
going on
Makes it
Sunday
hard.
night to somebody's house when he's home. We did, I think, 3 lessons so far, and now I'm getting close to having a baby. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, when you get sealed in the temple with your child, that will be probably the best experience ever. Because
Yeah.
my parents were sealed in the temple before I was born, so I never got to have the huge, oh, we're going to go get sealed in the temple today. But I just hear people's experiences, and it's like, that is so amazing. That experience is just so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, my parents joined the church when my older sister was in 5th grade, I think. So she got to go to the temple, but I was born after.
Mhm.
But
I was 4 when my sister and I were sealed to my parents. They joined when I was 2. And so we drove all the way from New York to Salt Lake City when I was 4 years old to get sealed, and I still remember it.
That's cool.
I remember a lot about it.
I don't remember anything from when I was 4.
I don't
I
either.
haven't been to the Salt Lake Temple yet, and I want to go so bad. Like, it's only 3 hours away from me. I need to go.
Yeah, seriously, that's like days away from me, and it's one of my favorite temples. So get on that.
Yeah.
That's where I was married, even though I live in Mesa, because our temple was closed for renovation, and we didn't have 4 other choices like we do now.
Yeah.
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 My favorite is probably the Payson one, but the Manti one, which is also a Pioneer one, I really like that one too. But
Very pretty.
You can't have my pen.
anyways, I gotta go to play
Gotta
practice.
go.
So,
Okay.
Sarah, I'm sorry I can't listen to your.
It's okay. I don't have anything really.
Next week, I talked to you guys about this, like our first meetup, but we're performing the play next week, so I can't come at 7, and I think we decided on Wednesday at 5. Let me check my calendar.
Do you guys remember?
That
Look.
I
sounds
remember
right.
talking about it, but I don't remember what time we
Yeah,
decided.
December 6th at 5:30. So is
Okay.
next Wednesday at 5:30 okay with you guys? And
Yeah.
we'll just be doing this again.
Is
So
that
I might have to go first and then leave so I can go get ready for makeup and set stuff.
Oh wow.
Okay.
that 5:30 Idaho time?
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Was that
So
wait, Tuesday or Wednesday?
Wednesday. Is
Wednesday.
that okay?
Yes.
Wait, did you say December?
Yep, next week's
Yes.
December.
Friday's December 1st.
I know. Wait,
Whoa! Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay, I can send out the link for that. I think that'll be our
Okay.
last meetup too.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
We're just doing our speeches again next week.
Yep.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Get another shot at it.
Okay, I'll see you guys later.
Thanks. Have fun.
All right. Thanks,
Bye.
Ben.
So, did you want to talk to us about yours?
Sure. Well, actually, maybe it's kind of better that the guy is gone because mine's kind of weird.
Okay. Now
So what's your topic?
My topic is normalizing breastfeeding in public because
I can't.
people get really weirded out by it. And until I started looking into it, I didn't realize that it's actually completely legal in 49 states.
Which state is it not legal in?
Well, the states that it's not legal in, there's a loophole because breastfeeding women can't be charged with indecent exposure.
Wait, did you say it's not legal or it is legal in 49 states? That's right.
It's legal in, where is it? 49 states.
You know what
DC
state?
and the Virgin Islands have laws specifically to allow women to do it. And in the one state, I think Idaho is the one state that doesn't have any laws specifically towards that, but they're still exempt from indecent exposure. So, I mean, you still can, but...
Interesting.
Okay, so what's your argument going to be like?
So, I was going to have an example. My friend actually found this video for me on YouTube. They did a social experiment on, there was a lady with her chest practically hanging out of her shirt, sitting on a bench in a mall, and people would just walk by her, and at the very end, a guy actually sat down and started hitting on her.
Mm-hmm.
So then they had a lady sitting at the same bench, breastfeeding, very discreetly. Like, she wasn't...
hanging out.
Yeah, she wasn't hanging out. It was just, and like 6 or 7 people walked by and told her she was disgusting.
Oh man.
And then they had both of them sitting together outside doing the same thing, and people were still walking up to this girl telling her she was being really gross and she needed to go home and things like that. And it's like, and then they had a guy standing there with them that was like, so it's okay for her to have hers hanging out, but it's not okay for her to have hers, doing something natural.
That's crazy.
So it's like, I don't know, I was talking to my friend and it's kind of weird. She kind of agrees with me too. Like, you should be able to do it, but I personally don't want to just have everything hanging out for people to see either. So, like, you should be allowed to do it, but at the same time, like, come on, don't be
an exhibitionist.
Yeah, but that's not really what I'm talking about. It's just one of the things that my friend said. But basically, I'm trying to get across that, like, I have a whole list of benefits as to how breastfeeding is beneficial, and how so many women start it but don't follow through, and the harassment is part of the reason why people stop doing it.
So is your point, I'm
trying to make people aware of the problem so that they can help women continue to breastfeed. Because doctors want you to do it for 2 years, but it was like right now 70-something% of women start breastfeeding, and by 6 months it's down to like 20%.
I feel like these days a lot more women have a hard time doing it too. Like my daughters, both of them, I never had a problem nursing my babies. I made like pure cream and they gained tons of weight really fast. But neither of my daughters produced enough milk. And so like I feel like that's sort of a thing now. I don't know if it's diet or what, but I feel like a lot of that waning of the breastfeeding might have something to do with the fact that it seems to be a lot harder for some women than it used to be. I don't know. Maybe we just didn't talk about it then. And I didn't know that it was hard for some people. I don't know.
I saw somewhere too that if you supplement with formula, it can make your milk production go down too.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not very. I don't know what I'm talking about. I haven't done it yet.
You're not a pro yet.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just
it's funny.
have been reading.
Because over the year, I was talking to my mom about it. She's about 76, and she was saying over the years, she breastfed some of her babies and didn't get others because over the years, the doctors kept changing their minds, which is weird because we're basically mammals. I mean, we are mammals, and
Right.
that's what mammary glands are for. But
It is weird, isn't it?
yeah, it is. But over the years, they were, they would go up and down. Don't breastfeed your babies. It's not good for them. Then breastfeed your babies. I mean, they actually up and down would tell you not to or to. And right now, I think we're in a place where we could use all the health and safety for our children, and nutrition that we can. And some people won't do it because of vanity, just like, who is it? Like Kim Kardashian didn't want to have another baby because of her body. I don't know. Maybe she had some health issues too. But some people won't breastfeed or have babies. They have surrogates because of personal, looks or what people will think. And you know what I mean? It's not. We got to put our babies first, not us first. I don't know. That's just. I don't know if you want to go off on that kind of thing, but that's something.
Sarah, it's interesting because we have a woman in our ward who's a lactation counselor. Actually, we have a doula and a lactation counselor. They're both certified, and both of them are really big advocates for breastfeeding. And the one that's a lactation counselor, I love her, but she drives me crazy because she is so pro nursing. Let's make this normal. This is a normal thing. It's a natural thing. It shouldn't be pornography or anything. But she will sit there right in the chapel during the passing of the sacrament, and nurse her baby with no cover. And the baby will, being distracted, latches on and then releases, and she just lets herself hang out there in the chapel.
See, so it may be a natural and good thing, but that doesn't mean that it's still not nudity. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's why I was saying, being an exhibitionist, I feel like if you're going to be extreme about it and try to make a point by throwing it in everybody's face.
That's not what I'm going for.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's why we have Mother's Room.
You said
that's why the church has this lovely recliner with a microphone, so you can go and relax.
So you can have a little
privacy. Really? You do?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
You don't have a mother's room?
We had a mother's lounge that they turned into a family history center in our stake center, and they gave the women a utility closet that they put 2 rocking chairs in there it was so tight, and then there was like this little curtain, and none of the women will go in there anymore. Most of them nurse right in the chapel with a cover, except for that one woman.
That's awful.
Man, that's not right.
We have a nice room. Got a baby changing table in it, and it's got a nice chair.
Aww. Yeah, they do have the baby changing table, but you can't really bring it down when there's 2 people sitting in the chairs. So
hopefully you don't have a lot of nursing mothers in your ward.
Oh, we do. We did.
Man.
We do. We've got that ward. We just changed boundaries, so I'm not in that ward anymore as of 2 weeks ago. But that ward had all young couples, and they were having babies left and right. So yeah, it was a big bone of contention. People were really mad at the state.
That's not right. That's sad.
Yeah. It's a stake center, so that it houses the stake offices plus 4 wards. And now the family history center. There's just not enough room.
Church needs to fork out a few bucks to build another room on.
Yeah.
I don't know if our stake center has one.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I haven't been there in so long because everything is broadcast now, so we don't even have to go there for stake.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that sounds
I think this is it's a great topic, Sarah. I think that'll be fantastic, especially considering you're about to have a baby. You're personally invested.
Well, actually, I thought of it because I flew to see my parents in September, and they had this little like pod at the airport that had like, this is where you can breastfeed. And I was like, there's no way that I'm sitting in that little box. I'm claustrophobic. It's not going to happen. So I thought, well,
no, and it's not right when people, there's a balance, it's not right when people discriminate against people who are just trying to do what your body was made for.
So yeah, I don't know if the thing was there because, it's a place you can sit that's private.
Yeah, see, I like privacy too, though, when I was breastfeeding.
Yeah, right. But if I sit somewhere outside of it, is someone going to give me a hard time because it's there? Because I'm not going to
Well, it should be just another human right, like we were talking about human rights before, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where you go with it.
Yeah, I found there's actually a lot of websites of people trying to
that are advocating for it or trying to.
Yeah, well, I kind of wanted to mention there's one I found called normalizebreastfeeding.org, but their pledge, it's like, it's really only something that a woman would relate to because it's, I pledge to do this and that, and it has like, men can't really read it and be like, yeah, sure, I'll donate my breast milk because it doesn't make
No, probably not.
It's like,
I hope
I'm
not.
trying to find something that's gender neutral that everybody can. Because, I mean, I know my husband would probably give somebody a hard time if they gave me a hard time. Like, if I was doing something and he was standing there, he'd be like, it's legal. Leave my wife alone. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But, like, I can't tell people to have their husbands threaten people. I don't know.
I just can't see why it would be a problem if you had a cover on,
Yeah,
do they call them hooter hiders there?
I've heard, yeah. Well, here
I bought a couple things that are called udder covers.
Oh, that's funny. Well, they have them with that strap now so that you can actually see down and see your baby. And I mean, it's so convenient, and yet it covers everything.
We didn't have that. We were like the baby was throwing a blanket off, and you were like, trying to hide yourself.
I know. And the clothes, you had to plan your wardrobe because going to church, you had to wear something that was either going to unbutton or unzip or.
Yeah, or pull up. Yeah, unbutton. Yeah, totally.
They have clothes made for that now. Like,
wow.
Easy access tops.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, there was a story. There's obviously like 3 or 4 Target stories that have been floating around for a while. But I read one today. There was a lady that was kind of odd where she decided to sit down. She sat down like in the clothing department and covered herself with a blanket, and a whole bunch of people that worked there told her she needed to like move over here and go like this. And she's like, they're telling me to basically sit underneath the clothing cart thing so that people wouldn't see. And when she called corporate to complain, corporate was like, well, we know that it's legal for you to do that, but it infringes on our store policy. And she basically was told, doesn't matter what the law is, doesn't matter what your rights are, you can't do it in Target.
Oh my gosh.
So was she blocking, like if she was leaning against the wall, were there clothes hanging over her that people couldn't get to if she was sitting there? I mean, I could see that. But if it was strictly because she was in public, then.
I thought it was weird that she sat on the floor. But according to her story, she never even saw another customer. It was only employees that were giving her a hard time.
You know what? I find that ironic that that's a Target story, because Target is the one
liberal.
They're the ones who want to have the bathrooms that are gender neutral, and they're the ones who want to have the clothing racks that don't say girls and boys. You know what I mean? And yet they wouldn't let women breastfeed. I mean, it just seems like it's so contradiction.
Backwards.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know, it's the weirdest thing. And even in the video of people, like, you're totally fine with having this woman with her boobs hanging out as long as there isn't a baby involved.
Because sexuality is okay.
It's gross. Right. But
That's sad. I have to go pick up my daughter from dance, so I'm gonna have to sign off. Sorry.
Okay. I really liked the
guys.
topic, Sarah. I'm excited.
Interested. And I really liked yours, Christine. We kind of got hung up on the attention getter story because it's controversial, but you really, I found that once you started talking, it did mesh. It went in, and I felt like you did a really good job. So, I mean, I don't know. I think we might have just gotten a little bit more hung up on the.
Yeah, I think we got hung up on the example.
On the example a little bit more than what the actual point was, and
well, and it is more controversial than any of the others.
Yeah.
I mean, there could actually be people that are like, absolutely not. I do not agree with you at all.
Right. But what I'm saying for your grade, if you do the speech well and it all ties together and stuff like that, I don't think that part will matter, will it? Do you think?
I have no idea. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like if you do it well and it makes sense.
I guess when we post it on the discussion board, are people going to say, you persuaded me, and so I agree with you, and then she's going to count and tally how many people.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I wonder if it really matters whether we persuaded anyone or if it's more just that we hit the points that we were supposed to hit and presented it well, you know?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I feel like you were hitting the point.
It's been kind of an easy class, but
yeah.
Yeah, I haven't taken it very
probably because we probably do overthink it a little bit because she has been pretty easy on us.
Yeah.
I feel like anyway.
Yeah.
When my best friend in high school was gay, and like I have nothing against gay people.
I don't either. Honestly, I have a nephew who is, and he's one of my favorite people. I love him. Yeah, but every time I try to advocate for families, he gets his feelings hurt, and I don't know how to tell him it's not about that. It's about preserving marriage and not disintegrating that, and not. I guess I've read so many articles, I've done so much research and there's no way I can get it all into 7 minutes. And so that's why I decided to focus on this one portion. But yeah, I don't either. I don't have a problem with them. What I have a problem with is that they have a problem with me.
Well, and you had a problem
observing my religion.
Take it so far and be so offended to take you to, it doesn't seem to be two-sided, even though I'm with you about that. I don't have a problem with it, and I'm a little bit more liberal in that way. It's not fair. You know what I mean? It's just
right. Yeah, it's not. And I feel like
it's lopsided.
Yeah. So
anyway, I do really have to go though, you guys. Good night. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. See
Bye.
you guys. Bye.
Bye.